What's up, everybody? This is the George Karlaftis film review. To this point, week 7, we've seen quite a bit of the playmaker from Purdue, first round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. What we're going to do today, we're going to look over some of his film and talk about the best ways that they are utilizing him and his skill set to get free rushers in Kansas City and be able to mix things up in their blitz packages. They're doing a lot of different things with him, moving him all around the formation. They're dropping him into coverage. They're doing everything that they really can to get the most out of their pass rush and out of him in the process. And what we're doing, we're looking at some of the plays from the 49ers game where he moved around a lot. He made some different plays and was able to create some other opportunities for other players. So what we are looking at here, he is lined up over the nose of the defense, that center position on the offensive line. We have Nick Bolton here lined up right next to him as a blitzer. They're going to do a lot of different things. Why is that blue? Get this blue out of here. This is some nonsense. Some nonsensical thinking here. Right there, we got some red. Now, Nick Bolton's going to blitz. So this is their NASCAR package. The Chiefs come out in their NASCAR package, and what George Karlaftis allows them to do is that allows them to bring everyone else on the field they want to do. So you have 4 defensive ends on the field, essentially. We know that Chris Jones can be essentially a defensive end. They've been doing that a little bit more this year, especially in obvious passing situations. And right here on the right side, outside of the tackle box, is 2 defensive ends, and Frank Clark and Carlos Dunlap, and they can do a lot of different things out of this type of formation. But their ideal situation, especially if they don't blitz, is to create one-on-ones. What a nose tackle typically can do, or a guy lined up over the nose, is draw a double team from the guard and the center, or the guard and the center here. If you attack the offensive line through one of these A gaps, you can, like I said, typically, especially on a team that's going to run out some of your running backs, you can find ways to create matchups for your defensive ends and Chris Jones one-on-one. So that's what you're looking to do with this defensive structure. You are trying to attack an offensive line and create one-on-ones for Frank Clark, Carlos Dunlap, Chris Jones. So obviously we know that they do end up getting the sack here, but George is still working his pass rush moves. He's trying to figure out what he can do, but the best way he's helping out this defense right now is in the back end. You see that this is a coverage sack. Jimmy Garoppolo is eyeing currently Brandon Ayuk, who's covered, and there's no one else to go with the football in his eyes. So Chris Jones is able to push that right tackle right in the back and get the sack. He helps clean up a little bit there. But what you want to focus on George Karlaftis here is, again, he's attacking that center, goes left. He comes back around, spins. It's a little bit slow, but again, he's trying to work his pass rush moves. Things you need to take away from here is that he is trying to work them here. All right. Now, he's back lined up as that nose tackle type in that one tech area in the between. He works that double. Again, you see it right here. He gets that double, okay? This is what they want to do. They want to get a double team from the center and this guard so they can attack here in the middle of this offensive line on that B gap, and they can bring Carlos Dunlap around on the stunt. That's what they're attacking, okay? They also show some blitz with Justin Reed and Nick Bolton. They've already showed that they would blitz Nick Bolton in some situations, so you can find ways to create a lot of different looks. And what George Karlaftis does, again, here, does a good job attacking that A gap. Boom. There's the double. Now we have the single, everything you want on the right side of this defensive line. You're going to be able to attack in that B gap, and you're going to get Dunlap come open. He's going to do a good job of getting his hands up because he's basically a free rusher at this time, so he's almost like falling on top of Jimmy Garoppolo, and he gets the batted pass. Karlaftis helped make that happen because he's not getting help from the center, because a guy that jumps can get pushed down and out of the way. If that does happen from the center, guess what? Maybe that pass comes out, maybe it's touchdown, maybe things are different. And again, here they're going to blitz him right off the edge, and they're going to mess with the structure of empty protections. I talked about this a little bit already, but they're doing a great job of disrupting offensive structure on the offensive line structure. So empty protections. If you guys don't know what empty protections is, there's nobody else helping the offensive line. You've got 5 offensive linemen, and they have to protect, okay? So you're going to bring one. You're going to bring more than they can block to begin with, okay? So you're already going to be, boom, 2, 3, 4 guys are coming. You know that he's coming. That's 5. You're going to have 6, and I think they even bring a 7th guy, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to bring more than you can handle, and what this does is it forces this guy right here, Trent Williams, widely regarded as the best tackle in football, to overprotect that inside, because as an empty protection offensive line, you are asked to protect the inside first, okay? So yeah, they bring everybody. They get 2 free rushes off the edge. George Karlaftis gets a nice hit on Jimmy Garoppolo. He throws it up. Josh Williams comes down with the pick. Now you see him lined up in more of a Chris Jones 3-ish tech position in between that guard and the tackle. And they're going to blitz Nick Bolton once again. And they're going to drop Carlos Dunlap this time. They're going to bring Jalen Watson on the left side. So all they're trying to do is force Jimmy Garoppolo to get the ball out into different scenarios, and he does end up checking it down so that you can force more of a 2 to 3 yard gain in this situation. But this is how they're using him to his best ability, because right now, I'll be honest with you, as a one-on-one pass rusher, he is probably the 4th or 5th best rusher in terms of winning percentage that I'm charting right now. You have Dunlap, who's been a pleasant surprise in that regard. Frank Clark has had a resurgence. We know Chris Jones on the defensive end can still win one-on-one. I mean, you can really probably process Mike Dana and him on the same level for the 3 or 4, whichever one you want. But that's the reality of the situation as a pass rusher, okay? So they're moving him around. They are helping the team out in the team pass rush situation out a lot by moving him in those situations, okay? Now we're going to get into every other game. Well, not every single one, but most of the other games that I looked at. And you're going to see George Karlaftis right here on the right side of this offensive line. The one thing that we can say without a doubt about George Karlaftis is that regardless of his PFF grades, he's been a pretty good run stopper. And when you are running an outside zone to the left, because you're trying to pretty much run away from Karlaftis, a lot of teams don't run at him. And when they do, they get punished, as you'll see in the next clip. But right here, you get to see word for word how he's doing this. They're going to run this outside zone away from George Karlaftis. And basically, it's just going to be, guys are trying to help stop, just make sure he doesn't get by, okay? All you have to do on the back end is make sure that defensive end doesn't do anything. But he's going to split this gap between the tackle and the tight end and does a really great job of getting through unscathed for the TFL. This is a very, more of the veteran plays that we saw. He's kind of following. Actually, this isn't an outside zone. My apologies. They're pulling some guys here, as you can see, a guard and a tackle. So it's definitely not outside zone, but they are definitely trying to go the opposite way, away from George Karlaftis, and he just does a great job of seeing not only that this play is coming out this way, it's pin pull. That's what it is. It's pin pull. There you go, pin pull. So he's taking Wirfs, and he's looking at Wirfs, and he's like, okay, so I see Wirfs coming this way. I know that this tight end right here has an extremely difficult job to block me, because that's not the tackle's job, is not to help him. He's pulling, so I don't have to worry about that. So he sees and identifies that he can get across the face of that tight end for the tackle for loss. Great job by George Karlaftis in the run game. And when they do run at him, this is what I really liked to see from Karlaftis, okay? He manhandles Quentin Nelson on this play, okay? Now, this one is an outside zone. So if you look at where the running back is going, where he's leading right now, and you can also tell based on, everyone is moving the same direction. Okay. We got outside zone. So he's directly looking at the outside hip of the tackle. So that indicates, at least to me, based on looking at this, as outside zone. So Karlaftis, one, he understands the situation that typically you're going to get a double team here on him. So what does he do? He comes inside and attacks Quentin Nelson, okay? And he gets inside Quentin Nelson. Usually, as an outside zone offensive line, they want to take the defensive tackle with them. Instead, he ends up turning Quentin Nelson. He gets his hands on the inside. Again, when you see the technique here by Karlaftis, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Look at him get inside here. He condenses down first, coils, and then he's going to explode into the chest of Quentin Nelson right there, and then lift him up. He's got outside hands here from Quentin Nelson. He can't do anything about the situation. Karlaftis is inside. He's pushing him, and then he disengages and helps get the short tackle for no gain on third down. That is an impressive play that you don't see a lot of guys make. So he's already been a plus defender in the run game. And again, when you can take Quentin Nelson for a ride like that, you're really showing that you can do a lot of different things. Outside of him not winning a ton one-on-ones, the biggest problem with that is right here. He's going to be on the right side going against the backup right tackle right here. Right here. And he has everything down that he wants to do. Like, he has it all down. He does a good job here of getting inside, and then he pushes, he takes those feet and he hops on the outside, and then he spins, but the ball's gone, okay? We have to see him speed up that process a little bit. One thing I'd like to see is for him to take his hands and really smack the tackle in the chest, because we can tell based off the hand position of this tackle, his hands are late. So we see Karlaftis has those hands inside. Maybe use one hand next time. We've seen Frank Clark do a lot with the one hand stab and spin. That would be probably more beneficial to George Karlaftis in this scenario, because again, he sees he's moving outside and then he takes a little bit too long to establish his spin move. And again, the tackle is now turned perpendicular to the field. So he's turned right there. You're inside, you have the hips, you got to start spinning right now. You got to go now. The ball ends up going to Eckler. If you spin right here and right now, there's a good chance you can get in here and force an incompletion or even get yourself a sack. So this process has to be sped up for Karlaftis. We're going to see what happens now that Frank Clark will miss the next 2 games, how he's going to get involved in more of the pass rush. Maybe they use him more on the outside one-on-one. You got to find a way to get more out of him. But that's really what it comes down to is here. I want to see the process sped up just a little bit. Again, he's a rookie. These kind of things happen, and we all understand that it takes a little bit of a learning curve, even against backup tackles. But again, inside, he does a good job of getting to the moves. They're just a tick behind what I'd like to see. So I love the effort that George Karlaftis gives. I really do. And here we're going to see him do a pretty decent job. He sets up outside moves pretty well, and inside he just does not have that speed to really threaten vertically and horizontally. The agility we know isn't there. But again, if you can consistently threaten the outside, at least to some degree, and you can make a tackle overset like he does here, and you can find a way to get some of that in the interior here, if the Chiefs decide to blitz someone here, or bring a corner here, this move is going to work really, really well, because he is very partial to his outside kind of swipe and rip. So he's trying to threaten the outside to set up something like this. It's a little bit slow back on the inside, but he does win across the face of that tackle. And what it does is it moves Matt Ryan out, and you're lucky, that Dunlap was able to get there first. But if you can find a way maybe to blitz off the edge there, you're really forcing Matt Ryan into a poor position. But again, it's all about the win across the face. He does win. So we need to see more quick wins from George Karlaftis, and then finish upfield, okay? Turn corner. Find a way to get underneath that arm right there at the end to finish there, and then you can get through that block. This is his only sack on the season, by the way. This is exactly the moves and everything I want to see from George Karlaftis. This is a coverage sack because the ball isn't coming out, so the coverage on the back end is good. But what I want you to realize is that Kolton Miller is doing a really good job on this play. Watch his footwork and watch how Karlaftis is matching it. Like, he's going to keep in front of him. So good job. Attack here. Boom. We see Karlaftis dipping now down inside. All right. Kolton adjusts his footwork and he moves. This is a really good rep by Kolton Miller. But Karlaftis right there. At the end, we see the extension and the power. When you can use all your moves and connect them together, get them in this nice little groove that he does, this is how you win reps, and that's how you start to make tackles second guess. When you can show a different array of your pass rush moves. Again, there's the one hand stab, swim over, push, spin, and then he pushes again, and he gets to Derek Carr. Obviously, look at the opposite side. Frank Clark helping out his guy too. Stab. Boom. That's fast right there. I want to see that a little bit more from George Karlaftis. But again, this is a really nice, you're at working man's defensive end, and you're doing a great job of doing everything you can to get after it. And again, great coverage on the back end that allowed them to get to that sack on Derek Carr. So now we got George Karlaftis on the left side here. Boom. And when we have him playing, as a defensive end, I really think that they're doing an excellent job of utilizing his skill set to open everybody else up. So we see Leo Chanel on the field here, but George Karlaftis is going to do a lot of the same thing that he did in those plays that we saw against the 49ers, where he's going to run up the field. His responsibility isn't necessarily to get to Justin Herbert. It's to open up this B gap, okay? Ooh, that's bad. Let's see it from a better angle here. His job is to open up the B gap on Justin Herbert's right, so they can blitz Leo Chanel right into it, okay? He's kind of slow on it. If he does get there a little bit quicker, you get a sack. So that's one thing we're kind of looking for from Leo, is to get the processing down. Again, he was late getting over there, so he just didn't see it. But George Karlaftis, again, does a good job of opening up his teammates to have impact plays, and they were still able to chase Justin Herbert on this play and get an incompletion. So he's been such a good team player and teammate for this team that I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that they're utilizing him in his best way. And right now they're going to enter a 2-game stretch where he's going to have to probably play more defensive end and start to show he's got more of that. I can string it together. I can get that process down. It's a little early for him. I get it, but he's going to have to find ways to make some impacts against these two teams. I want everyone to understand that I don't think the Titans are a superpower. They're 5-2, but the Chiefs should win this game. It's just giving him an opportunity to show that he's got what it takes to be a defensive end 2, defensive end 1, however you want to feel about it in terms of a pass rush player. They're going to be able to stop the run pretty well on his side, so I like what I'm seeing there. Again, this comes down to him being a team player. He's got incredible work ethic, so I'm hoping to see a little bit more consistency in working the reps. Got to see a little bit more win projections, in my opinion. He's not been great in solo wins. Again, not always his fault, but when he gets one-on-one with a tackle, he typically doesn't win. I just want to see that continue to get in the right direction. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun for me to break down all the different ways that they're using him. And when you watch it, all of it, the different places he lines up, I didn't show you any coverages because I don't want to see a defensive end in coverage, but he has the most of all defensive ends in coverage, 21 coverage reps. And that's kind of showing you that they believe that he is the best in terms of dropping into coverage of their defensive ends, because they do like to mix up their pressure looks and blitz and drop guys in and bring guys out. So I do like what they're doing from that aspect, but they really are moving him around a lot, like a jack of all trades kind of player. He just does a lot of different things on the defensive front, and I think that it's been really, really beneficial to their defense as a whole. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how it goes the rest of the season. These next 2 games I really do think are pretty crucial for him. Please make sure you guys are subbed to the channel. We get everything here. I want you guys to understand that we do try to teach you. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach you a little bit about the game and hopefully make it more enjoyable as you're watching, so you notice some of the intricacies that do happen on a down-to-down basis in the NFL. So make sure you're subbed, hit that like and the bell, and make sure if you guys missed it, go check out that Kadarius Toney film. It's great. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully we get to see him this weekend as a punt returner in a few packages. It'd be a lot of fun. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.